All right, let's jump right in. So, picture this. Your business is finally taking off. Or maybe you've got this massive project on your hands, and suddenly you need to get a whole lot of stuff from here to there. It seems simple, right? But then you look into it and wow, the world of trucking and shipping feels like a whole other language. Well, today, we're going to be your translator. We are going to decode this thing.
Yeah, exactly. This is the question, isn't it? Your cargo is all packed up and ready to go, but you're staring at this menu of services. Full truckload, LTL, PTL, expedited. What does it all even mean? It can feel a little overwhelming for sure, but trust me, by the time we're done here, you're going to navigate these options like an absolute pro.
Okay, so first things first, before you do anything else, the most important question you gotta ask is about your cargo. How big is it? How much space is it really going to take up? Answering that one question is going to be your compass. It immediately points you down one of two main paths.
So, on one side, you've got full truckload or FTL. The easiest way to think about this, it's like you're hiring a private taxi just for your stuff. The entire truck, the whole trailer, is all yours. This makes it super fast, super secure, and perfect for big, heavy, or really sensitive shipments. Then, on the other side, you have less than truckload or LTL. This is more like a carpool for cargo. Your smaller shipment hops on a truck and shares the space with other people's stuff. And because you're splitting the cost, it's a fantastic, budget-friendly choice. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. This is the sweet spot for LTL. You know, if you're a small business, every dollar counts. And if your delivery doesn't have to be there like tomorrow, LTL lets you tap into this huge, powerful logistics network without having to pay for a whole truck you don't even need. It's all about being smart and efficient. Oh, this happens all the time. Your shipment's too big to be a tiny little LTL thing, but it's not really big enough to justify paying for an entire truck all to yourself. You're kind of in that awkward in-between zone. So now what do? Well, you look for partial truckload, or PTL. This is that perfect middle ground, best of both worlds solution. It gives you a nice balance of the benefits from both FTL and LTL. But here's the kicker, its secret weapon, fewer stops. See, because PTL shipments are a bit bigger, the truck isn't making a zillion little pickups and drop-offs like a typical LTL route. And fewer stops often means your stuff gets there faster with less handling along the way. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about size, but let's completely shift gears for a second. What happens when the most important thing isn't how big your cargo is, but how much that clock on the wall is ticking? You know, sometimes a deadline is a deadline, period. It's just not negotiable. You got it. I mean, think about it. A critical part for a factory that's about to shut down, a last-minute order for a huge retail event, or life-saving medical supplies. In those moments, speed is everything. It trumps almost any other factor. And for times like that, there is a very specific service you need to have in your back pocket. And that service is called expedited freight. This is the premium first-class ticket for your cargo. When you absolutely positively have to get there fast, this is your answer. Your shipment basically gets to cut to the front of the line. We're talking direct routes, often with two drivers who can keep that truck moving around the clock, and a guaranteed delivery time. Yeah, it's going to cost more, but when time really is money, it's worth every single penny. All right, we've tackled size and we've tackled speed. But what about the cargo itself? I mean, let's be real, not everything is a nice, neat palette of boxes. Some stuff has very unique, very specific needs, and to move it safely, you need some very specialized gear. Probably the most common special requirement is temperature control, and that's where you'll see these guys, refrigerated trucks, better known in the industry as reefers. They're basically giant refrigerators on wheels, and they are absolutely critical for protecting anything perishable, from fresh produce and frozen foods to sensitive medicines. They make sure it all arrives in perfect condition. But what if your cargo's problem isn't that it's delicate, but that it's just plain massive and oddly shaped? For that job, you call in the true workhorse of the industrial world, the flatbed. That totally open deck is pretty much the only way you can move things like gigantic steel beams, stacks of lumber, or heavy machinery that would never, ever fit inside a normal trailer. And of course, you can't exactly pour liquid onto a flatbed. That requires a tanker. These are purpose-built trucks designed to safely haul thousands and thousands of gallons of, well, pretty much anything from gasoline and milk to industrial chemicals. And as you can imagine, they operate under some incredibly strict safety rules, especially when they're carrying hazardous materials. And then, sitting at the very top of the specialty pyramid, you have heavy haul. This is for the really, really big stuff, the monumental cargo. We're talking about colossal wind turbine blades, enormous factory machines, anything so huge it requires special permits, escort vehicles, and an insane amount of expert planning to move. This is logistics on a whole other level. So, wow, that was a lot of information. I know, it's a lot to take in. But the good news is we can boil all of this down into a really simple, practical guide. So think of this next part as your personal cheat sheet for making the perfect shipping decision every single time. Let's just run through this cheat sheet real quick. So, remember, got a big shipment and need it to be fast and secure? You're using FTL. Got a smaller shipment, not in a huge rush? LTL is your best friend for saving money. Stuck in that middle zone? PTL is your perfect compromise. If the clock is your biggest enemy, you go with Expedited for that guaranteed speed. And for anything that needs to be cold, is way too big, or is a liquid, you're going to need one of those specialized services. See? Simple. So really, when it's all said and done, this whole complex world just comes down to you asking yourself just three easy questions. Number 1, how big is it? That's going to point you to FTL, LTL, or PTL. Number 2, how fast does it need to get there? That'll tell you if you need to spring for Expedited. And number 3, does it have any special requirements? That's your guide to reefers, flatbeds, or other specialists. You answer those 3 questions, and I promise you will find your perfect shipping solution. And that pretty much wraps us up, so I'll just leave you with this little thought. The next time you're on the highway and you see a tanker or a flatbed or just a regular old box truck rolling by, just take a second and based on everything we just talked about, see if you can guess. What kind of journey is it on? What story is it a part of? It's kind of fun to think about. Thanks for tuning in.